They say this will give all man paint taxi blue and white now. The way their family member there, even their own family compound, they know if you ever hoist Ambazonian flag for them. But they talk to people and go paint their taxi blue and white. That boy they talk. So I by family compound for ground zero. They know if you ever hoist only Ambazonian flag there.
Like Elon Musk rightly put it, it is two old people that know each other, using the younger generation that do not know each other, and they are killing themselves for these two old people that know each other. If you can allow these two old people to fight, guess what? This younger generation will be free.
I have attended and say they get community school, they get community hospital, they get liberated territory, they get this and that. They are supreme general, FM. Il a fait himself from bingo.
Knowledge is power, but wisdom, which is the application of knowledge, is even more powerful. I'm sure this is shocking to most people. Britain and France were colonized by the Romans. You didn't know that Britain and France had tribes. Britain had approximately 20 to 30 tribes, speaking different languages, serving different gods, just like us. France had approximately 60 different tribes and had different gods.
They say this will give all man paint taxi blue and white now. The way their family member there, even their own family compound, they know if you ever hoist Ambazonian flag for them. But they talk to people and go paint their taxi blue and white. That boy they talk. So I by family compound for ground zero. They know if you ever hoist only Ambazonian flag there. And never talk to me they paint the compound blue and white. Be they hoist Ambazonian flag. They know if you hoist them for them. So I have attended and say they get community school, they get community hospital, they get liberated territory, they get this and that. They are supreme general, FM. Il a fait himself from bingo. That means all that their community school where they get them. They know if you take it go for them. They go in for bingo. You see the kind of boy there? Lies. Too much lies all the time. Ask yourself, say, when you fry my taxi, how did they give Ambazonia independence? How did they help the struggle? When they hear the kind of boy the way they easily identify themselves with Joe Ayabano, they easily adapt for that age of C, that ATF group. You see, I'm saying a boy the way they don't get any problem with Kelebe. They are focused on the civilian population. When man pack a taxi for down, a taxi no work. You go help your family. You go give him money. You cook chop for your house. You feed the family. You take care for your bills there. You take care for your needs there.
I actually love some of the questions these young people are asking. I love the generation of young people of today. Now, this is where I want us to have perspective as to exactly where you find yourself. These questions are very important because they get you thinking and they get others thinking as well. And this is where transformation starts. That leaders of the older generation don't emerge with an idea and we just follow. Yes, this is where you find yourself right now. But some of the questions that you are asking and the clarification that I intend to bring through this video is to help you have perspective. It is never late to turn back. After you do an introspective analysis, reflection on everything, and then you arrive at the place where you say, oh, I was going this direction and this is what I thought. But based on new information, this is the perspective that I do hold right now. This is how we make progress. That is why you see everything around you is moving progressively, because individuals that created everything we do see take the time to reflect. There are a lot of young people that find themselves in this Ambazonia cabal and they don't know how to detach themselves. Maybe you're making money on a platform because of activism or because you are putting out information, but I see it more from a perspective of individuals that do care about the community, want to see Cameroon move forward, or want to see the people of the Northwest and the Southwest move forward. So I want to speak from that perspective, that most of the young people that we see online have the genuine interest in seeing our people get better. And I think that is the objective that most of us hold. Some people look at it as a money-making source, but there are others who genuinely want to change. I want to take us down memory lane, because it is only when you observe the past with clarity that you can be able to see the future objectively. When you want to use a catapult, you pull backwards. The reason why is because you need a lot of strength in order to hit your target. Did you ever know that Britain and France, our former colonial masters, were themselves colonized? I'm sure this is shocking to most people. Britain and France were colonized by the Romans. Approximately 43 AD, Britain was colonized. Britain was colonized for approximately 367 years by Rome. When you see somebody who is fair in complexion, or maybe the Caucasians, white people, as you call it, you see them maybe with a long nose and fair skin, and all you think is, oh, this white people. You categorize and group them. But just like we have maybe the Northwesterners, or we have the Southwesterners, or we have the Bamili case, we have the Bassa, and we have this different groups within Cameroon, so is the white people. They have different groups with different belief systems within their society. And it's very, very important that we put that in perspective so that we can look at the situation and make sense of our story. Britain was colonized for approximately 367 years by the Romans. France was colonized for more than 500 years by the Romans. France got their independence from Rome. Britain got their independence from Rome. So prior to them coming to colonize us, they had previously been colonized by the Romans. So I want you to see how this thing goes around. Because there was some point in history where black people enslaved even white people. You don't even know about that, right? And you see some of the white folks maybe in Northern Africa. I know the Arabs came, but in that mixture are some white people that came during that era. So Africa went over and brought slaves into Africa from Europe. We have been doing this to each other over time. So after the colonial masters, Britain and France, left Cameroon, we have been in this predicament for about 64 years as a group of people trying to make sense of our story, have perspective, and move forward. And some of the struggles come with the colonial baggage that we have to deal with. Now, when I want to solve a problem, the first question I always ask is, has anyone else gone through what I am going through? That is a good place to start. Because if you only look at your problem, talk about your problem, feel like your problem should be looked at and you need solution, the question to ask yourself and reflect is there anyone else at any point in history that went through what we are going through? Not just a contemporary nation, maybe within Africa, that we came out of colonization, because the countries in Africa, maximum we went through colonization for approximately 75 years. But there are other nations throughout history that have gone through a similar experience. Britain and France, the case I've just cited to you. What is the point? How did these nations survive, revive, became great, became a superpower after colonization? You didn't know that Britain and France had tribes. Britain had approximately 20 to 30 tribes speaking different languages, serving different gods, just like us. France had approximately 60 different tribes and had different gods. What unified these nations after their colonization is that they unified. They had challenges like us, and some people wanted to break out, just like what we are doing in Cameroon right now. And proud to these nations being colonized is because of division within their nations. They had kingdoms at the time. And so I just want to help you have perspective, because they went through what we are going through. And so how do we make progress in spite of where we find ourselves? And that is why separating might be the easiest option to adopt. But if we navigate these challenges that we are dealing with right now, because I'm intrigued by the questions that you're asking, because when Che Ayaba and the rest, they're out there spewing hate, destroying our own people, and you guys are saying, no, we can't sit back and just watch this, and you're speaking up, and that is good. Use your platform and your voice with what you're hearing from me today, so that collectively we can help our people have perspective. And it's never too late to turn back and say we can make progress moving forward. And this is what we will do from now moving forward because of the new information that we have. So France had to unite. The tribe Frankish emerged, and they were able to unite the entire nation of France to what you see today. The same with Britain. Unity. They had to unite under a leader. Without that, there will be no Britain today. Without that, there will be no France today. They had to unite. Act as one. Did they have internal challenges? Sure they did. But people were willing to let go of their differences and unite on a common goal. So if we want Cameroon, if we want maybe the Anglophones to make significant progress, we need to unite. They united under a common leader, and they also adopted Christianity, which was a unifying factor. Whether you're a Christian or not, whether you believe in God or not, I want to let you know, when we look at the world today, the belief in Christ has done more good for most of these nations that we desire to travel to than you can even think about. And that should tell you something, that there is power in that name, Jesus Christ, whether you believe in him or not. The results are evident everywhere around the world. So some people will say, oh, maybe those Europeans today, or maybe the Americans today, they don't believe in God. That might be what you are thinking. But the reality is, the foundation that helped these nations to become great is embedded in Christianity. We have done that research. We've studied their history. We've looked at the greatest thinkers within these nations. There is no way for them to become prosperous and successful that we desire to travel to their nations today if they did not have a common God that they all believe in. What is my point? There are many groups within Cameroon, or tribes within Cameroon, that have been hurt. And maybe you're looking at this problem and you think, oh, just the Anglophones. We've never gone to war before, right? Anglophones, we did not get into a war to have our independence. unlike our French-speaking counterparts. They fought extremely hard to get their independence. You need to study the reign of Ahidjo to understand what these individuals went through. Look at some of their statues in Douala and Yaoundé. You understand what these individuals went through. There are many groups in Cameroon right now that they are quiet just because they value peace compared to the war they had in the past. They had fought wars and thousands of people did die. Case in point, look at the UPC scenario with the Bamili case and how they're scattered all over the place. But why? Because they experienced war, they experienced brutality in that same system in our country. I hope this is making sense. So these are groups of individuals that have worked extremely hard. They are financially viable, but guess what? They are struggling with the current political system that all of us are complaining about. They are the Bassa people in Cameroon. They've gone through a lot in the past. And sometimes you might wonder and ask a question, why is it that we, the Anglophones, are complaining and fighting? And we do see some of these challenges with our Francophone brothers. Why are they not speaking up? Why are they not fighting like we are? And the reason is simple. It's because they had fought in the past before. And if you will ask them, and the stories that their parents have transferred from one generation to another is peace is more important than violence or war. So they value the peace even under a system that they do not like. We all wish that it gets better, but it did not start today. It did not start even with President Pobia. It started from the time of President Amadou Ahidjo. That is the history of our nation. They are the pig mix group, these groups of people, and they are struggling within our own nation. They are the Fulani headsmen in the north, and they are struggling the same within the same nation. The people in Yaoundé, they don't have it all together. The people in Douala, they don't have it all together. So there are a lot of issues in our nation that needs to be addressed. And when we have a holistic approach about this problem, we can have everyone involved and we will make significant progress together. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? I hope this sinks, because this is what our organization aims to achieve. That we look at the grievances of different groups within our nation. Be able to have a conversation. When the Anglophones start thinking of solving the Cameroon problem, the Anglophone problem will be taken care of. Imagine you are poor and you do not have money, and you step out there and you start complaining and looking for every way to solve that problem of poverty. You must serve someone. And as you serve that individual with a good or service, that is how you get money to solve your own problem. Let me break that down again. If you have the skill to trade, and you are broke and you're complaining, the only way you will come out of poverty is to go out there and trade a product. That product that you're trading, it might be food. As you trade that food, guess what? You're solving another person's problem, which is hunger. And as that person buys that food, they give you money. And then guess what? You get that money and you'll be able to solve your own problems that you are dealing with. So there is no way, right, you can get your problem solved without solving other people's problem. There is no way you get the poverty story out of the equation if you do not solve other people's problems. And that is the perspective that I'm coming from, because this is a more enlightening, relieving, and sustainable strategy to resolve any conflict. And that is why you see people travel around the world and they're like, oh, Anglophones have been marginalized, and no one is paying attention. What problem are you solving as a result of you being marginalized that you want others to join you to solving your problem? You see, so these are some things that we don't pay attention to because we are absorbed in our problem, so much so that we want to talk about it forever with the hope that someone will hear us and solve our own problems. Again, if we want to solve the Anglophone problem in Cameroon, we have to focus on solving the Cameroon problem. As we solve the Cameroon problem, the Anglophone problem will be taken care of, because other individuals will be involved and look at the problem from a holistic perspective. And as we all address the issues in Cameroon, understanding that we are black people in this geographical territory, that the colonial masters came and colonized us for a period of time. This is the history we are left with. But we all believe we have a destiny. And so in order for us to achieve our various objectives, we are willing to put our problems on the table and look at those problems, have everyone's voice heard. We need everyone's voice to be heard. And in that process, we find healing, we find truth, we find reconciliation, and we are able to forge a path forward. So that is what CSDP, the Cameroon Sustainable Development Project, aims to achieve. And right now we are pushing with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This Truth and Reconciliation Commission is aimed at creating an atmosphere where everyone's voice can be heard. From there, we'll make significant progress. If not, keep trying to solve the Anglophone problem for the next 20, 30 years. And the nation we are hoping to create, I want to let you know that nation will have challenges. And if we face challenges, are we going to break out and create another nation? And have we factored what maybe some of the Southwesterners are thinking about all of this? Or what some Northwesterners who don't want secession are thinking about all of this? Have we factored this into consideration? And then when we are talking about marginalization, do we just generalize it? Or is it something that we can classify it and say, this is what that marginalization really looks like? Can we quantify it? Because whatever problem you have, quantify that problem. Who is being marginalized? Was it just the teachers and the lawyers? Which other groups are being marginalized? And what exactly do we mean by marginalization? Can we define it? Can we break it down? Can we have perspective on exactly what that issue is and be able to address it specifically? If we cannot, you will struggle to solve that problem. Even in your personal life, you have to define what exactly it is you want to solve. Because someone hearing these stories, they are random and they are too much. And we don't know exactly what it is that we aim to achieve. But we do understand, and we're hearing right now that one thing that we have in common is you want to break away. And the reasons why you want to break away, we cannot quantify it. Another classic example that I want us to look at is the idea of the banks in the Anglophone zone that were shut down, the factories that were shut down. All of these grievances are valid. There is a certain degree of truth to it. There is a certain degree of government participation in the closure of those banks or those institutions. But this is how you look at the problem like that. From an analytic perspective or from an economic perspective, you don't just label a problem generically and say this issue is why we are poor. You don't do so. If not, you will not be able to solve that problem, even if we erect that same institution that you claim your poverty is as a result of that institution being closed. Now, this is how you look at the story of this magnitude. If they say the bank was shut down, how you really solve that problem if you wanted that bank so bad and you believe that the reason why we are broke is because that bank was shut down is for us to have data. We need data of that bank. Who were the individuals working in that bank 5 years prior to that bank being closed? Can we have that data? Who invested money in that bank? Can we get the data of the customers that were saving money or borrowing money from that institution 5 years prior to that bank being closed? When we have that data and then we look at government participation, we can have a holistic perspective and say this bank was really shut down by the government. When they talk about the agricultural board, you ask the question, hypothetically, let's assume, yes, the government has a role. Can we look at the financial transaction of that agricultural board? Who were the individuals working for that agricultural board? Were they competent? Yes, if they were competent, let's look at the transactions that went on. Because many institutions, many companies, just like ours, shut down post-independence in Africa. Study Ghana, for example. You see many institutions that went down post-independence because most of the leaders were not competent to run those institutions. They had prejudices towards the West, and they said, guess what? These people colonized us for this period of time, so we cannot trust their system, because what they were primarily motivated by was to extract resources and not to develop our country. And because of that, we will choose socialism over capitalism. We will choose something that is not empirically verified because of these prejudices towards the West. And they picked up socialism. And mind you, the whole idea of socialism, if you've read the book, The Communist Manifesto, it was written by Karl Marx, a German. And this man lived at a time where Germany had never practiced socialism. So when you hear this concept of socialism that is prevalent even within the continent today, I want to say that system has not been empirically verified. That is, it has not been tested and proven. And why we call economics a social science is because you can look at data. And there is no way for you to blame an institution as the cause of the economic hardship within a nation without looking at human behavior. Economics doesn't only deal with the economics. You must have human behavior side by side to make sense of that data, to make sense of that economic situation. I hope this is helping us. Right now, you've outlined a lot of things concerning maybe hospitals that this radical ideologues claimed that they had established. And we don't have no hospitals because a general, Efang, died and was left on the street. Why? Because he was seeking medical relief and he had to go to a government hospital. And not a hospital they claim they had erected. Are you guys understanding? They've talked about schools and you guys don't seem to see any school that they have created. These are all valid claims. And if you look at our community, there are no schools that they have erected that you can really walk into and say this is a school created by Ambazonians. I hope we are understanding what is going on here. Now, if they have not been able to provide for you what they claim that they have created, then the question is, will they be able to deliver when we go into that new nation? And if they will deliver when they go into that new nation, can we start hearing you guys being honest about what we are going through right now, being empathetic towards what the people are going through right now, right? If we don't see all of that, there's a saying, the devil you know is better than the angel you do not know. There's a lot of opportunities that we can take advantage of in Cameroon. And I don't buy the idea that the system has been the way it is and will remain like that forever. We have the power to change anything as humans. And this is the power that we all possess, that God gave us. No institution, no political system can take that away from us if we decide and if we unite. I mean, none. There is nothing that is impossible for us to do. And this is a challenge that we can pick up in this generation to transform our country by modeling what works. Set aside every prejudices, set aside every tribal inclination, and unite. There is no Southwest or Northwest. There is no Francophone or Anglophone. We are Cameroonians. That perspective is enlightening. And we will be able to make significant progress when we start approaching our problems this way. Remember, I said, when we start taking care of the Cameroon problem, the Anglophone problem will be taken care of. This is scientifically researched. Bill Gates created Microsoft and all of these beautiful gadgets and software that Microsoft has been able to produce over the years. They have solved many people's problems. And as our problems were being solved by these products, we pay money for it. And in exchange, he became wealthy. What are we solving? Young people, you have limited time. You might look young right now. You might have the opportunity right now, and you're not taking advantage of that opportunity, and you're ruining your own life following ideologues. Because when I came into this, the first thing was to observe where these leaders were taking us to. They will go pick up some pictures and come tell you taxi colors have been changed. And you've looked at it, there is no taxi color that has been changed in Bamenda. I want us to just scroll through this video.
You take care for it.
Look at it. That is Bamenda. People driving through Bamenda, they are still taxi colors. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that? That's Bamenda. That's Bamenda. What does this make of you? You want to keep following dogma? You want to keep following someone that will tell you, oh, we are going to change the colors of taxis, and all of this rambling and talk and nothing is changing? Is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? This is a question as a young person you have to ask yourself and have perspective. If not, this is 8 years. The next 8 years will remain the same. You come into a situation like this, you change strategy. You look at it and you realize that it's full of lies, it's full of manipulation. You change strategy. So, back to my point. A lot of African nations have struggled post-independence, and so we are not an exception. What ideologues have used is the language that we speak and how we came together. Anglophone, Francophone. That is what they have used to hold us back. And it's time for us to have perspective and understand what they are doing and withdraw yourself from the trap. The independence is a facade. Case in point, look at all the nations in Africa and ask yourself, which of those nations are really wealthy compared to Cameroon? That is, they are super rich compared to Cameroon. Very few. Most African nations struggled post-independence, and they still continue to struggle. And if we don't step back and reflect and change strategies, we'll think we are doing something new. We'll achieve our objectives of creating a nation that we all desire, and end up making things worse for our people. So most African countries are still work in progress. And if there's anything that we have to deal with, we need to actually rebuild the systems within our nation. We have to get rid of tribalism. Tribes need to be done away with. And that is what Europe did. Most of European nations were colonized by Rome. I repeat, most of European nations were colonized. I'm sure you never heard about this. Most of them were colonized by Rome, including the Portuguese, including Greece. They were colonized by Rome. and they got their independence from Rome. And to rebuild, they had to get rid of tribes. And they had to come together. They had to have a common leader. And because of that, they made progress over time. Let's push for a commission that is aimed at reconciling the whole nation. I don't care how far you've gone into this. You can turn back and make progress. No amount of motivational talk will split Cameroon. No amount of motivational talk will take us down the path that you are hoping. I think what we've experienced for the past 7 to 8 years should tell you something. This is how we grow. That new information comes in and you change your position. No matter how strong you've held that position, you can shift, you can pivot. If you get new information that makes sense. We can make progress really fast. I'm telling you, we can really make progress really fast if we pivot, if we recalibrate. More than 60% of the nation comprises of youth, and those above the age of 65 are just approximately 3.5% of Cameroon. Did you know that? What are we fighting? Like Elon Musk rightly put it, it is two old people that know each other, using the younger generation that do not know each other, and they are killing themselves for these two old people that know each other. If you can allow these two old people to fight, guess what? This younger generation will be free. We're born into this. We were not there at the Fumban Constitutional Conference. And the questions we should be asking these older folks is, what did you do when you were there? When all of this was going on, what did you do? If you didn't do anything, leave us alone. Leave us alone. You're promising us a nation and we're looking at your strategy. You cannot even unite. You're an adult. You cannot sit down on the table, talk as one. And yet you want to create a nation with the hope that we will go into that nation and things will be better for us. Unity is number one. And if we do not have that, leave us alone. If you guys don't have that, leave us alone. And that is what you get to tell them. I hope this video makes sense. I hope this video penetrates your soul. Watch it again and again. Have perspective so that you are not deceived in this dispensation. Knowledge is power, but wisdom, which is the application of knowledge, is even more powerful. If you like this video and you want to watch another one, click right here. If you want to watch the entire video, click right here.